Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Always titles, used as he said, can have different connotations or meanings from one time to another, or from one scholar to another. That's right. Or sometimes you use this terminology in certain group and you mean something, and then you use it again in another group and you mean something else. That's a very common in the terminologies, very common in terminologies in general. That's why you have to define what the terminology is and what you mean by this terminology. Give you an example. You read in Imam al-Nawawi's book, in fiqh. In his book, anybody knows any book of al-Nawawi? Al-Majmu', huge big book and related to fiqh. طيب. They said you cannot give fatwa until you have a copy from Al-Majmu' للنووي and a copy from Al-Mughni for Ibn Qudama and Al-Muhallal ibn Hazm. After that you can be a mufti. If you don't know these three books, you cannot be a mufti. Some scholars said that. And I can't agree on that. طيب. Why? That's inshallah ask the teacher of fiqh. In Al-Majmu' you will see Nawawi will say there is a consensus on this issue. Then after 2-3 pages or lines, you will find that this issue, Imam Malik disagree with it. So you say, no, he doesn't know what he's writing. Or you don't see anybody, he will say, this issue, there is a consensus on this matter. And you go and you think this is one opinion and you start acting like this. And I said, hold on, hold your horse. Wait. And Nawawi, when he says there is a consensus, he referred to the Shafi'i scholars in his book. Yani there is a consensus among the Shafi'i scholars upon this issue. But he's not referring to the scholars from all other different madhahibs. So here the terminology of ijma' has a very specific meaning. Okay? So you have to be very familiar with the terminologies, what they mean. Otherwise you can get confused and lost, and that's what differentiates student of knowledge from an educated person in Islam. That they knew these differences. They knew the terminology, what it means. And that's what differentiates somebody like me and any brother or sister here who is familiar with IT. When he said megabytes, megahertz, okay, I know these words, but I don't know really what it means. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Gig and all these geeks terminologies. Okay? I'm not familiar with it. So I just know it. I know it when I go by. I memorize it. So I have to do, I need this, as if I know what's going on. I really don't. The moment you go deeper, I back off. I said, no, it's actually somebody who told me that. You see? That's the difference. Student of knowledge, he knows what this means really. So he will not be deceived. We will not be confused. Okay? So, it's a very important, that's why we say ijma', consensus. In the issue of Aqeedah, different than the issue of fiqh. So we will consider the Asha'ira, the Maturidiyya, in the ijma' of fiqh. Sometimes the Mu'tazila, they will be included. But when it comes to Aqeedah, they said, there is a consensus that Allah above His throne. Somebody might say, Sheikh, but those so-and-so scholar, who's a great, like for example, let's say who, Ibn al-Jawzi, Hanbali. Ibn al-Jawzi, the famous, not Ibn al-Qayyim, Ibn al-Jawzi, the one who wrote the tafsir. He said that Allah is not above His throne. Or maybe Ibn Hajar was a Shafi'i scholar who would disagree on that. We said, yeah, they went against the consensus. Because those two, their methodology and their opinion will not contradict the consensus for several reasons. Because the consensus came before their existence. Two, because the consensus in the matter of Aqeedah, we go to the people of those who represent the way of as-Salaf as-Salih completely. But maybe these two in this particular issue or other issues similar, they're not. So, the terminology ijma' can be different from one group of scholars to another, can be from one scholar to another as well. And so many examples like this. طيب. What I was trying to say here, Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, also used in two different meanings. Sometimes we said Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah to refer to the most pure sect, which is only have no innovations. They follow the footsteps of the Muhammad ﷺ and the companions. And sometimes we said Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah to differentiate between Shia and Sunnah. So we said he's Sunni and he is Shi'i. Sunni could be Sufi. Sunni could be Mu'tazili. Sunni could be Ash'ari. But the main thing is not what? Shi'i. And another used, he said Sunni and Bid'i. He follows Sunnah and he follows Bid'ah. So that follow Sunnah cannot be Ash'ari, cannot be Mu'tazili, cannot be Jahmi, cannot be anyone like that. So the pure Sunni. Okay, so the word Sunni or Sunnah used in two different terminologies, in two different meanings. The same terminology being used to refer to different meanings. So just be careful when you read, because you might say some scholars said, yes, the so-and-so from the sect are Sunnah. Yes, it means they're not Shia. But on another occasion, he might say that they are not upon the Sunnah. Not the pure Sunnah, not following the same way of the Prophet ﷺ. That's why it has a general meaning and specific meaning. طيب. Let's see the PowerPoint. The evidence proving the obligation to follow the methodology of as-Salaf. And listen, did you read? I choose my words carefully. The methodology, not the opinion. We don't follow Abu Bakr as individual. We don't follow Umar as individual. And if we expand this to the sky, we don't follow Sufyan al-Thawri as individual or Abu Hanifa as individual. We don't follow individuals. We follow the Sahaba's methodology of the Sahaba, what they agreed upon. The only one we follow him and we follow all his statements, everything he said, only Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But no other human should be copied. And the only group as a collective, if they agree on one methodology, we've been ordered to follow only Sahaba radiallahu anhum. So the methodology of the Sahaba. Because sometime somebody came to me and said, Sheikh, now if Ibn Abbas said, or one of the Sahaba said, آتنا في الدنيا حسنة. Give us in this dunya حسنة. حسنة means good. You might read that some of the, I think Ibn Abbas said, حسنة, it means a beautiful wife. Oh Allah, give me in this dunya a beautiful wife. And some beautiful husband. So you said, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say good, which is more general just than a wife or a husband. Is that means that I didn't means, I have to only say a beautiful wife or a beautiful husband to follow the Salaf? No. This is an opinion. But what I use a methodology of understanding the verse based in generality. And this is the way the Sahaba understood in the Quran in general. That's their way of understanding the Quran. But sometimes they will give you an example just to make the meaning more close. It's as if Ibn Abbas want to tell you that this will include everything. Even your spouses. Even you should ask Allah to bring you even a good looking spouses. Like when he said, those who commit major sins or minor sins. Minor sins like looking at a woman with desire or looking at a man with a desire. Or kissing. Or touching. And the major is adultery and fornication. So see, he did not really define major and minor. He just tried to give you an example of what is major, what is minor sins. So you can avoid both. طيب. So the point is to follow their methodology, not necessarily their opinions. Otherwise, there are so many opinions of the Sahaba, we don't follow it. We know that it's a weak opinion. But we don't say that they have a methodology which is weak or something they agree upon. Like, for example, we know that the Sahaba never ever rejected the Sunnah because it's a Sunnah. It's not their methodology. They never differentiate between Quran and Sunnah as a source of religion. What Allah said, what Rasulullah said, are for them, it's equal. We know that in their methodology, that they never said any one of Ahl al-Bayt, his statement equal to Muhammad ﷺ's statement. In their methodology, they never said that one of Ahl al-Bayt must be the Khalifa after Rasulullah. Nobody said that. Because he is from the Prophet family, it means he deserves a political position. Or to be a Khalifa or something. Nobody said that. Their methodology is that all Allah's names and attributes should be accepted the way it is. No one twist the meaning, no one give it another meaning, no one deny it. No one of them said that it is similar to our hands, similar to our rahmah, knowledge, mercy. No one said that. So basically, that's their methodology. None of the Sahaba ever said that if you commit a major sin, you became kafir. It's not from their methodology. It's not from their methodology that they need large number of narrators to accept the narration. Like somebody said, it has to be mutawatir to accept it. None of the Sahaba ever differentiate between actions and beliefs. They believe that they are all go together. Yani you cannot just say, I'm Muslim and you don't practice. That's why we don't have such things that call practicing Muslim, non-practicing Muslim. No, habibi, it's Muslim or not Muslim. We don't have non-practicing Muslim. You cannot separate this. Every Muslim must practice something. He practicing good or he is not practicing good, that's something else. But he or she must be a practicing Muslim. طيب. علي سيد وشو علي سيد؟ طيب. روضة الطالبين. Oh, this is Shawkani. طيب. Good. So basically the methodology of a Salaf, it is so known, well documented. And that's also differentiate between, or that shows you that it is wrong to say that a Salaf is just a historical period of time, disappeared and that's no more. No, their methodology exists in the Ummah until today, generations after generations. طيب. Is it obligated to follow them? Yes. And the Quran was Sunnah full of evidence to support that. There is over 100 verses in Quran and Hadith from the Prophet ﷺ to support that. From Al-Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have said, if you want to read the translation, Khalil.
والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه وأعد لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا ذلك الفوز العظيم.
And the former, the first from amongst the Muhajirun and the Ansar, and those who follow them in righteousness, Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Him.
Stop. So, he spoke generally about Al-Muhajirun Ansar, but those who follow them with righteousness. So those who follow them, Allah said some follow with righteousness and some not. You see? And Allah pleased with, as Aisha said, with the Muhajirin Ansar and those who follow them. So if you want Allah to be pleased with you, what you need to do? Follow them with righteousness. See how this verse shows you it's important to follow the Sahaba. Allah pleased with those who follow them. طيب.
And He has prepared for them gardens of which...
The second one, ومن يشاقق الرسول من بعد ما تبين له الهدى ويتبع غير سبيل المؤمنين نوله ما تولى ونجزله جهنم وساءت مصيرا. Surah An-Nisa, yes.
And whoever opposes the messenger after the guidance has become clearly manifest...
Who is the messenger? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. After
the guidance has become clearly manifest to them and follows a path other than that of the believers.
Other than the believer. The path other than the path of the believers. The believers. Whom the one that you can tell me that I witnessed that they are the believers. Yani you can 100% sure that they are the believers. Which generation is that? The companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Because that's Allah how He described them. See? So that's why they are the believers. We have to follow their path. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said also, Jazakallah khair Khalid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. O who you believe have taqwa and be with the صادقين. Be with the صادقين. Ibn Umar said, as-sadiqeen, the truthful one, are the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this ummah will be divided to several groups. The Jewish divided to 71, Christian to 72, and this ummah to 73. All these 73 sects to the hellfire. Their punishment. Except one will survive. They said, Ya Rasulullah, whom are the one who will survive? He said, the one who follow my way and my companion's way. Report by Tirmidhi. So it's a very important. ما أنا عليه اليوم أصحابي. What I'm practiced today and my companions. Not only me, my companions. And also, An-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, in this hadith reported by Imam Muslim, he said, النجوم أمنة السماء. An-Nujum is the sign of security and safety for the heavens. Whenever the stars will be removed or vanished or not exist, أتى السماء ما توعد. The heavens and the sky will face what the heavens was promised. What the heavens was promised? To be split asunder. That's right, in the end of the days. So when the stars falls, the sky will and the heavens will fall apart. Okay? So as long as there is a star in the sky, we know that the sky will remain the good. The moment there is no more stars, the moment this sky will fall apart. It means the day of judgment starts. Then the Prophet ﷺ goes by saying, وَأَنَا أَمَنَةٌ لِأَصْحَابِي. And I am a sign of security and safety to my companions. The moment I'm not there, my companions will face what they've been promised, which is al-fitna, and the fight, what happened between them, and the division, and all what happened to them after that. So in Nabi ﷺ is the security, the grant of security to his companion. وَأَصْحَابِي أَمَنَةٌ لِأُمَّتِي. And my companions are the sign of security and safety to my ummah. After them, the innovation started, and when my companions goes away, my ummah will face what promised, which is follow the footsteps of the nations before them. So in Nabi ﷺ compare the Sahaba's role in the nation of Muslims to his role in the Sahaba's time, which shows you that they are very important for this ummah, and their methodology and their way must be followed. And also, there are so many narrations from the early Muslim scholars, from the Sahaba themselves, from the Tabi'een, from the Atba' Tabi'een, showing clearly that we must follow the way of the companions, radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum. Also, there is evidence from logic. طيب. The Sahaba is the best generation. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best of the generations are the companions. طيب. Don't we should follow the best? By logic. That's right. Since they are the best, we should follow them. As-Sahaba, they are all trustworthy. It's another logical reason for us to follow them. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the most familiar people with the language and the culture of the language. Another reason logically to follow them. The Sahaba witnessed and seen with their own eyes the practice of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another logical reason for us to follow the companions of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. What's the importance of following their methodology? Following their methodology is the means of following the Quran and the Sunnah. Because when you follow what their methodology, that will reach you to the Quran and Sunnah. Because the Sahaba, they did not take their religion or their ideas or their ideologies from other than Quran and Sunnah. It's not like other people. They might take their religion from people's opinions. No, the Sahaba straight to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their methodology is one of the source of religion. It is one of the clear signs that differentiate between those who follow Sunnah and the innovations, as Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said as well. It is the only way to guarantee protection from the hellfire. As the Prophet ﷺ said, all of them in the hellfire except one. Also, it protects one from falling into innovation. Because it said innovation is to practice what? Not the Prophet, neither one of the Sahaba practiced. Following their methodology will solve any dispute in the Ummah. That will bring unity to the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Instead of this man saying he is Qadiri. Do you know that when the British left Egypt, they were discussing in England, how come we leave Egypt in a strategic place and blah, blah, blah. What if this Egyptians, they rebuild their country and it can be a threat to the interest of Great Britain at that time? One of the answer was, don't worry, we left Egypt and we left behind us over 300 different Sufi groups. They divide the Ummah. This is Qadiri, this is Shadili, this is Naqshbandi, this is that. Everybody is groups, divide the Ummah. Everybody said, I follow the way of Abu Shadili. I follow the way of this Tariqah. I follow the... What if we all follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions? that will bring us together again. Just give you an example, not from the methodology of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, that they ever thought there is one scholar or one alim, all his statement must be followed or must be right. Like some extreme followers for the madhahib, some extreme Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, believes that you have to follow Abu Hanifa no matter what. You have to follow Ahmad ibn Hanbal no matter what. Blindly, everything he said must be true. To the extent in the history of Islam that a city called Maru in Iran, or maybe north of Iran, close to the border of Russia or something like that, that Yaqut al-Hamawi has a book, a beautiful book, it's called Mu'jam al-Buldan. Very interesting book. Yaqut al-Hamawi said that this city remained always in destruction. There is no, it's almost empty. People start leaving it. Why? Because the Shafi'i and the Hanafi fight each other. Whenever the Shafi'i take over, they go and they destroy the Hanafi masjid, take their books, burn their books, put in jail their scholars. Whenever the Hanafis convince the Amir to be Hanafi, they attack the Shafi'is. And they fight each other literally. Ibn Qudama, a great scholar who been bothered so much in Palestine, he's Hanbali, moved to Egypt. Egypt in that time was Shafi'i and dominated by Shafi'iyya and some Malikiyya and also Hanafi, stronghold for Hanafis. By the way, Egypt today is a very stronghold for Hanafi. They are the main Hanafi school of thought in north of Egypt is Hanafi, and this I think even the country based on Hanafi madhab. Southern of Egypt is Maliki, and as long as it goes south, it's Maliki, stronghold. Anyway, so the Hanafi and the Shafi'i felt threatened by this scholar, Ibn Qudama. Some of them gathered and they said, if Ibn Qudama stay in this country, and he start a class, they brought Wa'id, Wa'id, a good speaker, to give a speech in the same times of Ibn Qudama's halaqa, or halqa. Same times they give the class, they give this good speakers, motivated speakers, for what? To distraction, to bring the crowd away from, people love this, empty speeches, just make you feel good, not the saw. So they thought about that. Doesn't work. They said Ibn Qudama, after the first class, people go crazy about him. How much knowledge he has. People around, you couldn't see him when he walks because of people around him. Some of these the jealousy came, and those who think that it has to remain Hanafi or remain Shafi'i, they said, if this man stay here, we're out of business, basically. He will convert the whole entire Egypt to be Hanbali. See, as if the Hanbalis deen the religion other than, they didn't look to the school of thought as all of them go to one direction to develop the fiqh, to evolve the Islamic fiqh. No, they look at it as in a wrong methodology. The Sahaba, they used to have a school of thoughts, different school. Ibn Mas'ud, school of thoughts. Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, they are different school of thoughts. In Mecca, in Kufa, in Medina. But they never teach their children, neither Abu Hanifa or Malik or Shafi, but they never said that Ibn Umar must be followed blindly, or Ibn Abbas, or Ibn Mas'ud. We never heard Ibn Mas'udi. But later, after the 4 Imams passed away, it became their opinions is the most important thing, more important than even what is their adillah, what's their proof, evidence. Anyway, they hired a professional killer and they give him 200 pieces of gold to assassinate or to kill Ibn Qudama. And he runs away, he ran away from Egypt before they kill him. And that's how this dispute happened to the Ummah, because they don't follow the methodology of the Sahaba. If they follow the methodology of the Sahaba, we respect all the scholars. We take this opinion because it's stronger, because the evidence is more clear, and I respect the other. He will take 2 ajr, and this one will take 1 ajr, and move on. That's the methodology of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. Also, the Salaf used to have the best knowledge, the best deeds, knowing the following, their methodology will lead to the best knowledge and the best deeds. When the knowledge became just an argument, an empty words, will not change the hearts. This is not the methodology of the Sahaba. The Sahaba didn't use to teach knowledge for the sake of just being information. It should make you more closer to Allah. When they did not follow the methodology of Sahaba, the knowledge became just a tool of showing off. The knowledge became, we start concentrating on the words more than the meaning, the body more than the souls. You'll see people fight over how is it absolutely to say Allahu Akbar this way or that way, what is the fingers, which is okay. But more important than thinking of the khushu', what you read, what you pray, how to pray, the Aqeedah, the belief of Muslims. That's why you might see some people said, oh, don't worry about Aqeedah, just also into usul al-fiqh, mustalah al-hadith, the science of the narrator, and he doesn't know anything about Aqeedah. Or separate akhlaq from knowledge, which is not the methodology of Salaf. They never separate the behavior, the way you behave, the suluk, the akhlaq, that you should carry, the manners, the characteristic of the Muslim. It was something very, very important for them. When people did not follow the methodology of Sahaba, we find people who think that knowledge can be separated from akhlaq, or aqeedah separated from akhlaq and brotherhood and sisterhood and manners. When the methodology of Sahaba is a very practical way of looking to the knowledge, not theoretical. So that's why following their methodology will bring us back to this kind of behavior, this way of thinking. Also interesting to know that following the way of the Salaf means respecting your sanity and humanity. What you see here is some practice by some people. That's how they celebrate the death of Al-Hussein. Is it clear? Okay, is that more clear? That they hit him, themselves to bleed too. So bleeding and bleeding. Is that a sanity? A baby just to do that to their own baby? That's how they chained the woman walking to the grave of Al-Hussein. They are all in chains. They are a slave of Al-Hussein. The methodology of Salaf, we sad that Al-Hussein died, but this is not the way to show your sadness. That's why the way of the Salaf really respect you as a human, not to kill and injure yourself. Say that's, for example, a grave for Khomeini. How the elite members of the government has to go in front of the grave and sit in front of the grave, seeking like blessings and support from his grave. That's nonsense. So even kids and all adults, all what they do, they just hit themselves like this. Why you hit yourself for? Why would you hit yourself? What's going to make hitting yourself? See, it's like a path of blood. Yeah, I know. No problem. We're going to skip that. It's a video clip, but I'm not going to. The way of Salaf also is based on knowledge, not ignorance, desires of fairy tales. Because some ways, based on moving your desires or fairy tales, like this, you go to the grave and the dead one will help you. Or this Al-Habashi, who's saying, who always used to bring fairy tales to convince his followers. This is, you know this man? It's not clear here. This is Muqtada al-Sadr, the famous Shi'i clerk. You remember when we had the blackout in North of America 3 years ago, 2 years ago? In North America, not in New York. Huh? In that time, I think it was coming with the invasion of Iraq, and in that time. So Muqtada al-Sadr said that what the blackout that had happened in New York was a lessons from Al-Mahdi to the Americans to back off. It's nonsense. And, okay, or those people, that the deen is just a bunch of songs and musics and all this what the religion is about, like the Sufis. They come together to sing, to listen to music, to jump in the air. It's a sad, this is not a religion. The methodology of a Salaf is not to soften your heart through listening to music. What music does, it's make you hyper. But the moment you leave it, the moment you go low again. You see? It's like drugs. That's exactly what it does to you. That's why using it is smart, because it can make you hyper into it. You don't feel what's going on until you walk out. The majority of Salaf is not about this. It's not about making you hyper. No, it's about really making you responsible. Make you consistent in your ibadah, in your way of life. That's why al-fuqaha allowed drums and duf in the time that it meant for you to be hyper. Like, for example, the time of war. Or Eid, celebration. It's only 2 occasions in a year. Or maybe in marriage. Everybody excited and happy, you know. But other than that, in your life, no, you should be able to live your life based on understanding, knowledge. Not just to excite you. Okay. With this, I will finish, and we cover all issues related to who are Salaf and issues related to them and their methodology. And I hope, inshallah, the next week, since it's going to be a spring break, we're not going to have a class next week. The week after, do you want to have class or not? Or still? Because last week you said the children will be home. How long is the spring break for the? Huh? 1 week. So next week we'll be off, and when we come back, inshallah, after a week, we will have 2 more weeks to go, and that will finish the whole entire book. Is that fine? Or you want to squeeze it to 1 week only? 2 weeks include the test.
We have to do the exams the week after. We have after our exams.
There is 1 week now is going to be off. Next week. The week after that, we will have 2 classes, 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday. Then the week after that, we will have Wednesday. If we finish, Thursday will be the test. If we don't finish, the week after that will be the test. I'll tell you something. The test is the easiest one ever you have taken. And the way the test is made, I prepare for you, it's really a good surprise.
For example.
Good, not bad.
For example. For example.
What do you think of the class? That's an example. Uh-huh.
You know, in Egypt we have a lot of mosques that they have graves inside. I never pray in mosques with grave inside. However, some people say, if the grave is on the other side of the Qibla, if it's in your back, go ahead and pray. If it, don't put the grave in front of the Qibla or anything like that. What's your opinion?
No, the fuqaha from all the madhahib agree that any masjids built on a grave, regardless the grave in the front or on the sides or on the back, it is haram to pray in such place. Because this is a place which people, they don't pray to Allah alone. There is people go to these graves to ask them to worship them, basically, to offer them a kind of worship. And Allah said, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. No. Huh? Al-Masjid al-Nabawi, the grave is inside the Prophet ﷺ's house, not inside the masjid. And the houses of the Prophet ﷺ, when they expand the masjid, until not very long time ago, the houses will be like this, and people will not pray. People until today, actually, they don't pray from the other side, between the houses and the wall. Nobody prays. So it will be kept empty to keep that. Let's say this is the masjid, okay? This is the houses of the Prophet ﷺ. Here the rows, the first rows. It's the Qibla here. The rows are here, okay? Here was the member of the Prophet ﷺ. So the masjid used to be basically here, the Prophet ﷺ's door open to the masjid. This was the masjid. Okay? They expand the masjid in the beginning this way. There's nothing here. Okay? Then they expanded again this side. Then they expanded this side. Then they expanded here. Especially when the Sufis, Uthmani, take over, who don't believe in that. They believe in graves, it's okay for the masajid and stuff like that. They are the one who spread this bid'ah in the Muslims' world, the Ottomans. So they expand the masjid from here, and they build the dome above, or even before them, I'm not sure now when exactly the dome exists, but if I'm not mistaken, it's the Ottomans, above the Prophet ﷺ's grave. So became basically inside the masjid, the houses of the Prophet ﷺ. So what happened in the early time, in the time of the Umayyads, when they made the first expansion like this, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and here this side, they built 3 walls around the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. So nobody can see it, nobody can know where is exactly the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. And there is no doors even for it. In the time of Ibn Zubair, the only door for Aisha was closed. Built, and that's it. Nobody entered. Okay? So, now, when Sheikh Muhammad Wahab rahimahullah took over, and his movement took over Saudi Arabia, they couldn't change, they did not change that because it's going to cause a lot of trouble with Muslims all over the place. What they did, they forbid anybody to pray in this area. So basically you will keep this empty as if it is in the old days. This is just attached from this side, his houses. And he was buried in his house. And they used also to forbid people from praying here, right behind the houses here. People will have a distance, then they will pray from here. With the time change, people start come closer to this area behind the houses, and they still, it's not that far away now. People pray here almost. This area. There's only a small space in the Faridah. And this one, not allowed to visit, nobody allowed to pray in it. There is a fence here and here. Prevent people from making tawaf, because in the Ottomans' times, people used to make tawaf like this. So they closed that here and here. Nobody can make tawaf, and nobody can pray this area. Okay? I have seen one person once, making tawaf around the whole entire masjid, since he cannot make tawaf around the whole the grave, the whole entire masjid. He goes and so it's weird if you open this. Anyway, so that's how the story of how the right thing to do, that they should stop that and keep it as it used to be, separate from the masjid. But the grave itself is not inside the masjid, it's inside the house. And the whole entire house is where ends up part of the masjid after this expansion. It's different than when they have the grave of Al-Badawi, then they go and build masjid over it. It's a grave, it's a part of the grave. It's a grave, or the grave of such and such, they build masjid over it. Here the Prophet ﷺ, the masjid was exist, and he was buried in his house, and after that this expansion in the masjid, the Nabi ﷺ made it this way. And as you see, nobody can even locate or knows exactly where is the grave of the Prophet ﷺ.